Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to talk about Blake 7. Of course, I have been watching on my Blu-ray Series 1 collection, which I've been enjoying. We're going to talk about Episode 10, Breakdown. I enjoyed this one a lot, actually. The ending was a little too quick for me, but overall I think it's a very good episode. First off, love the updated effects. This, of course, is my first time watching this episode. But I did choose to watch it with the updated effects, so I don't know how much they are an improvement over the original effects. But those updated effects look really good here. I especially like the scenes pertaining to like the black hole, or what I'm just going to call the black hole with the red swirl. That looked cool. Anytime it was on the screen, it looked cool. When the Liberator was going through it, it looked cool. That was really neat. The special effects, of course, of the ships, the Federation ships firing at the Liberator and missing and blowing up the space station also looked pretty cool, even if that scene didn't do much for me. Some of the footage looks really good in this. I have to wonder if the scenes filmed in the little medical room where Gan is, laying down in the medical bed most of the time, was that shot on film? Because that looks different than a lot of the other footage, which is obviously studio. For some reason, the scenes that are shot in the little medical bay room, let's call it that, look better to me. They just stand out more. The skin tone looks better. I don't know, maybe it's just the lighting, but that looks like film to me. It has a more film look. So I wonder if those are original film elements or if it was just shot on film and looks different. But to me, those scenes look better. It just kind of jumped out at me. I could be totally wrong about that. But typically I can tell when something's shot on film and when it's shot on videotape. And while most of the episode, of course, looked like standard videotape, looked good. The restoration work looks very good. For some reason, I kept wondering if the medical stuff, the stuff in the medical room, was shot on film because it just looked better to me. I love the performances. I love the dialogue. It kind of made me think of Holmes' dialogue for a moment. I know it's Terry Nation, but I loved just some of the little quips. They're just little extra moments. Like when Avon is telling Blake, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm out. I just don't feel like only an idiot would follow you, and I can't do it anymore. And Blake's like, well, now you're just being modest. And when Blake is talking to Avon over the intercom about convincing the space station people who they are, it was like, well, just tell them this. You think they'll believe that? Well, you'll have to convince them. Use your charm. There were several little moments in this episode. Right at the beginning when they finally get Gan subdued. And Villa's like, what landed on me? And Avon's just like, he did. Just points down at him. He did. There was a lot of that. A lot of little pieces of dialogue. I knew at some point Callie was going to let him free. The episode doesn't really try to hide it. But it mentions her being against restraining him pretending to be okay. Which is interesting that it's messing with his head while it's making him want to fight. But the fact that he still has his memories and he knows who Callie is and he can pretend to be nice. I was kind of surprised by that. Even though when he started talking nice to her, I obviously knew what was up. And I knew she was going to release him. And I'm like, you're not even the blonde one and you're falling for this. To be fair, Jenna would not have fallen for that. I like that Jenna... I feel like Jenna's had some stuff to do the past 2 episodes, but I don't feel like she's being developed as a character. She's being utilized on screen, and Sally is doing a great job performing her. But she feels a little two-dimensional to me. Like, she's not getting fleshed out about who I still don't have a firm grasp on her. I mean, I kind of get her personality, and I know there's no way she would have let Gan out of that. And she seems very committed while still being caring. I was hoping, since Gan is kind of the focus on this episode, I'd get a little more exploration into Gan, but not really. Even though he's the focus of the episode, his character gets no development at all. That's my biggest complaint, is I still feel like a lot of the extended cast for a show called Blake's 7 are not getting the kind of development that, say, Babylon 5 would do later. One of the things I love about Babylon 5 is I don't think of it as a main cast and a supporting cast for the most part. I think of the Babylon 5 as a show that has an ensemble cast Whereas I feel like Blake 7, you have really two main characters and a lot of supporting characters, with Blake and Avon feeling much more fleshed out. I get what makes them tick. And I love how their different personalities and philosophies about life clash and bounce off each other. That, to me, that's the part I'm enjoying about the show the most. I feel like I get them, whereas Blake is, I won't say an idealist, but he hopes for a better future. He's still realistic, but there's still this hoping for a better future to him, whereas Avon is a more pessimistic realist. Maybe that's it. Blake is an optimistic realist, whereas Avon is a pessimistic realist, if that makes sense. I love Avon's kind of dry humor, that kind of deadpan delivery he does, that kind of monotone delivery works for his character so well. So occasionally when he does smile, that really amuses me. And then we have Julian Glover in this episode. And he doesn't even appear until like 32 minutes into the episode, over halfway through the episode. And he's just there. Literally, my reaction when I saw him was, Julian Glover's in this! I'm excited about that. And his performance is, of course, fantastic. I absolutely love his performance in this. I'm so happy to have him in it. I like the guest cast in this a lot. The guy who's the commander of the station, I like him. Julian Glover's assistant character, I like him. You know, it's not a big cast. I thought the sets looked good, and a bit basic, but, I mean, even Babylon 5 sets are obviously sets, let's be honest, and I love Babylon 5, so I'm not going to judge it for that. The ending felt a little rushed. I also liked, I was talking about quips I liked. I like how they have the discussion about neutral forces, because this space station is supposed to be neutral. It's not for or against the Federation. And they have that discussion about how, there's many different shades of neutral. There's many different faces of neutral, some of them deadly, how some people are more neutral than others. I like that, and how that comes into play a bit when when Julian Glover's character, Dr. Kane, comes on. He's kind of praising the Federation. And then Villa's like, well, that doesn't sound very good. And Avon makes that quip about one of the many faces of neutrality. I like, again, it's perfect for Avon to say that the way he does. And it's so true that there are many faces of neutrality. And, of course, the Doctor figuring out his Blake and the crew and trying to stall while he signals for the Federation to get there. I like how the Dr. Kane and the commander of the space station are at odds with each other, which becomes a fatal confrontation they have later. And the fact that Avon has a chance to stay, and yet he still goes back to warn the crew. Avon's got a really good heart. He would die before he would admit it. Maybe not die, but he would not want to admit it. But Avon obviously is a good character, I think. He's kind of like the 12th Doctor in a way, that hard exterior, but maybe, I won't say a soft interior, but you can tell he cares. A lot like Series 8 Capaldi, perhaps. But it's been several times in the 10 episodes I've seen now where you see his kind of compassion and his willingness to protect others show through. Like when he saves Blake's life in one episode. So I like that he went back to rescue him there. And the fact Villa's like talking to the Doctor, like, you know, try anything funny and I'll kill you. And then Avon pops up, and if he doesn't, I will. Because he's learned the Doctor's betrayed him because the commander of the station found out about it and warned them. And the fact that the Doctor kind of just kills the commander. It's a little weird that he does it just over a slap to his hands, but that he kills him, I was kind of like, okay. I like how Blake threatened the Doctor, and what finally got through to the Doctor was that he threatened to destroy his hands. Obviously, the guy's work's important to him. They threatened to mess with his hands. Now, the bit at the end when Julian Glover's character, Dr. Kane, is just that fixated on his hands when they find out the space agent's about to die, and he's just, that's a little too much. That's a little too much crossing into win over the bin territory. I would have rather them just have him panicking, trying to figure out something. It seems a little too much there. And the ending is a little abrupt. Also, the space battles in this show are very boring. I don't know, maybe the original effects, they look better, but there's been 2 or 3 times. I noticed this in the duel, too. I noticed that in the duel and in this episode. The space battles are just kind of boring. They're like, at least with the updated effects. Maybe the original effects did it better, I don't know. But they very much have this submarine warfare where it's slow and firing at each other. And I get that a lot of space shows do that. Star Trek does a lot of that. Or Star Trek does a lot of that. But Star Trek usually makes it interesting. I mean, go watch The Wrath of Khan. And the space battles in it you could compare to submarine warfare, but they're amazing. They look great. Now, of course, Wrath of Khan had a much bigger budget than Blake 7. But even 60s Star Trek, a lot of times, the space battles look good. Watch the space battle in Balance of Terror, which is an amazing episode. It's very engaging. Even with the original effects, it's very engaging to me. There's tension going on. Whereas, it feels kind of boring here. They fire 2 shots, and that's it. And they fire them one at a time. Put on the force field. All right, that worked. And the second shot barely missed and accidentally blows up the space station. It just felt... The ending felt a little rushed, a little easy. I like the fact that it keeps with the idea that when you fire something in space, if it misses, it doesn't just stop, it keeps going. It's going to hit something eventually. Mass Effect 2 touches on this, where and when you're in the background of the Citadel, you can hear a military guy talking. You know, when you fire this ordnance, it is going to ruin someone's day. It doesn't just stop, you know, telling them to watch their aim. That's true. If you fire a missile, a laser, or something like that in space, it keeps going. You know, there's no air in space to slow it down. So eventually, it's going to hit something. And that you see that in play here, where it misses the Liberator, hits the space station, and blows it up, because the space station is certainly not protected. So that's neat. I kind of like that it keeps with that idea. I just hate the fact that the space battle's just, we fire 2 shots, even though there's 3 ships. 2 of the ships are like, we shall fire 1 shot apiece. And the 3rd ship's like, screw it, they missed. Why should I don't know. That just, maybe the captain of that ship was just a temp with a really bad attitude who didn't want to be there in the first place. It was supposed to be his day off. He got called into work, and they're like, hey, Steve, are you going to fire anything? Steve's like, no. Whatever. Y'all missed. Hey, you do this. I'm just here. I'm not even supposed to be here today. And then I feel I want to know how many people were on the space station that got blown up. Because it looks like a fairly decent-sized space station. There's probably a lot of people there just working. Scientists. It's supposed to be like weapons and medicine. What about the scientist who's just going about their day? You know, what if there's a scientist on there named Frank? Frank's job is just to do scientist stuff. He's in there. He's doing all right. He's working on a cure for the common cold. He's having a good day. He gets blown up. He doesn't know anything's happening. He might know there's some trouble with the higher-ups upstairs. He's probably like, God, what are those idiots above me screwing up now? Why do the people who are dumber than me get promoted above me and make more than me? As an American, that's a sentiment I can relate to. And then he gets blown up for no reason, not even his fault. He just happened to be at the wrong place in the wrong time. So, all of that wouldn't have happened if the Liberator hadn't been there. So if you think about it, the Liberator going there to save Gan's life killed a lot more people. We don't know how many people were on that space station. A lot of innocent people might have got killed to save one person. If I was Blake, I'd be having a bit of a guilty conscience there, even though it's not completely his fault. But you have to understand that as a wanted person, your actions have consequences. But I know I'm nitpicking at the ending. I did really enjoy this episode. It was a lot of fun. Again, I really liked the updated effects. The space battles need to get better. I liked the dialogue. I liked the writing. It feels like it was written by Robert Holmes with some of the dialogue, and I love that. And the performances were really good. It was nice to see Callie getting some stuff to do, and nice to see Jenna getting some stuff to do. Not really a lot for Villa, but he got to do a little. And I'm glad that at least Gan's actor got to be there, even though I didn't really learn much else about Gan. But yes, I did very much enjoy this one. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying Series 1 so far. Looking forward to diving into the next episode. So, Episode 10, Breakdown. What do you think of it? Comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There is a link to that down there. There are full reactions to the first 7 episodes of Season 1 I don't film reactions for these anymore simply because it's very time consuming, and that's why these were coming out at such a snail's pace. But full reactions for the first 7 episodes are up there. Picture in picture for most of them. I think the first 2 or 3 might not have them, but I think the rest do. And they're full uncut. If you're interested in those, I think those are available at every tier. I know the $5 tier and up, but those might be available at every tier actually. So check that out if you're interested. Early access to video, all that fun stuff. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, which is how I got my DVD box set of Blake 7, which is hiding back there. The Flyattractor sent that, which I really appreciate. So if you'd like to send anything you want me to look at, send it on along. A link to my Amazon wish list is down there. A link to my Amazon UK wish list is also down there as well. I want to give a shout out to a couple of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Sam Venning. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It's very much appreciated. Most importantly, thank you for watching.